Hi, I'm Matt from Versa. Welcome back to another Matt's Chat. And today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite bands, Haken. They've been in the news recently. Unfortunately, announced that Charlie Griffiths, a founding guitarist, and Connor Green, their bass player for over a decade now, have left the band. They've announced that they will be continuing on, so just the four members for the time being. We'll see what they do. Apparently new music coming, which is exciting. So since they are in the news, and since they are one of my favorite bands, I thought I would do a little ranking of their discography. So studio albums only, not going to be talking about the live albums, not going to be talking about EPs, not going to be talking about the first demo album, so no Restoration, no Fauna Live, just studio albums. So start with the first album. I have all the CDs here in my lap. First studio album, Aquarius. One of the best debut albums of all time. Really fantastic record. It really came out of the gate fully formed with their own sound. It's instantly recognizable as a Haken album. Sometimes you hear a band's first album, you go, I can't even believe that's the same band. That is not the case with Haken. They sound like Haken right out of the gate. It's a concept album. It's this kind of crazy story about a mermaid whose blood could save the world. It's a little bit abstract. It can be a little bit hard to follow, but I like that. It rewards close listening. It rewards repeated listening. Music is really adventurous and exciting. Lots of great melodies, some big riffs, some really pretty parts. You can really hear they're drawing their influences from classic prog of the 70s, from Dream Theater, and more contemporary like alternative rock bands and things like that. There's bits that sound a little like Gentle Giant, bits that sound a little like Dream Theater, bits that sound a little like Genesis, but they're really bringing it all together and making it sound like Haken, which is very impressive for a debut album. A lot of bands struggle to find their own voice on the first album. Really fantastic. Cannot recommend this album enough. 10 out of 10. Second album, Visions. They step up in every single regard over Aquarius. The songwriting is more polished. This is a proper studio album. The first album was recorded mostly in sort of bedrooms and home studios. This is a proper studio album. First album sounds great for what it is, but this album is a big step up sonically. It's a step up in terms of songwriting. It's a step up in terms of presentation. More mature. Has one of the best progressive rock epics of the 21st century in the title track Visions. Really knocked it out of the park. Improved on just about everything from Aquarius. 10 out of 10. Third album, The Mountain. I know for lots of Haken fans, this is where they hopped on board the Haken train. Cockroach King was, as far as there are hits in this world, was a kind of a hit for them. It wasn't my first introduction to Haken. That came a little bit later, but I know for a lot of people it's a very important album. A lot of people consider it their best album. There are good reasons for considering it their best album. It's bookended by these beautiful kind of gentle piano-driven pieces, Somebody and The Path. You've got Atlas Stone, which is just a fantastic progressive rock kind of mini epic. Cockroach King is Gentle Giant by way of heavy metal. It's tons of fun. They play it at just about every live show. I've seen them do it at least half a dozen times. Great album, one of the best albums of the 2010s. A favorite of many fans for a reason. 10 out of 10. Their fourth album. Are you chewing on CDs? Don't do that. Hey, come down from there. Come here. Don't chew CDs. Oh my goodness. Chewing my Ian Anderson albums. You stinky bird. This stinky bird was just chewing on one of my Ian Anderson albums, so now he has to be on camera and shamed for it before we talk about Affinity. So Affinity, Haken's fourth album. This is the album I discovered the band with. I think Earthrise was the first song that I heard of theirs, and I fell in love with it immediately. Bought the album, love it. It's an interesting one. It has this sort of 80s aesthetic, and they really followed that through in a lot of different ways. I remember when this album came out, their website was all done up to look like kind of a Commodore 64 computer or something like that. It was really fun. There's obviously the aesthetic of the cover art. I have a band t-shirt from this era, and it looks like the side of a Galaga arcade cabinet, which is great. And then the music itself is sort of peppered with these allusions to 80s music and sort of occasional digital synthesizers and drum machines will pop up to give it that little 80s feel, but it's not taken too far. It's still a Haken album. It still sounds like a contemporary album. There's just those little references kind of dropped in here and there, particularly on the song 1985, which is another one that they do at just about every live show. It's always a blast to see them play it live. They've got these great glowing sunglasses they put on when they perform that song. The Architect, fantastic epic. And Bound by Gravity might be my favorite song by the band. If you are interested in recording techniques and like how to record vocals in particular, listen to Bound by Gravity, because basically every trick in the book on how Ross's vocals are recorded and mixed. He'll be completely solo in the mix. He'll be doubled. He'll be, 2 or 3 part harmonies. There's sections where it's just layers and layers of vocals, and all of that in just like 8.5 minutes. Really fantastic sounding, fantastically mixed album. Great music. My personal favorite. 10 out of 10. So they follow up Affinity. An Affinity, other than the sort of 80s accoutrement kind of stuff on it, the little flourishes, very much following in the same style as The Mountain. So they went a little bit in a different direction with the next album, Vector. They went way heavier, tighter, more focused. Previous Haken albums are quite long, quite sprawling. This is a shorter album, punchier album. There aren't any epics. There aren't any really long songs, but there are huge riffs, big, heavy 8-string guitars just going at it. Real gent influence on this album. There's a opening track, Clear, and then after that there's this 1-2 punch of The Good Doctor and Puzzle Box, which are like the 2 heaviest songs Haken had done to that time. Really fun. Nil by Mouth is just a crazy instrumental. It's one of the only instrumentals that'll give Dance of Eternity by Dream Theater a run for its money for just crazy complicated progressive metal instrumental. Super fun, really good album. 10 out of 10. They follow up Vector with another album in kind of the same vein, Virus. My understanding is it was always kind of intended that these albums be sort of 2 of a kind. Bit unfortunate, everybody has to comment on the name. This came out just as the COVID pandemic was taking off in 2020, which is too bad because that was not intended, obviously. So they continue, arguably even heavier with this album than the previous album. Prosthetic is just fantastic. If I've got friends who are into like really heavy metal and like check out Haken, Prosthetic is always the song I send them. This one has, unlike Vector, and unlike The Mountain, The Mountain and Affinity kind of have mini epics. Vector didn't have anything like that. This one returns to full-on 20-minute prog epic with Messiah Complex, which is awesome. This is my wife's favorite Haken album. Canary Yellow is like a beautiful ballad that kind of breaks things up before you launch into that crazy, heavy, wild, sprawling Messiah Complex. 10 out of 10. And then their most recent album, 2023, Fauna. Bit of a lineup change on this one. Diego, who'd been the keyboard player for most of Haken's history, left. Pete Jones, who was a keyboard player very early on before they had really done anything, recorded anything, he came back to the band. And it gives things just a little bit of a different feel, a bit of a different vibe from the last couple of albums. It's not as heavy as Vector or Virus. It's more of a return to the sound of The Mountain and Affinity. Still some pretty heavy moments. Still a progressive metal album. Some big riffs and things like that. But it also feels like kind of a summary of everything Haken has done to this point, as well as pointing away potential future for the band. So you've got, a song like Sempiternal Beings is like classic Haken song, great song, but then something like The Alphabet of Me is integrating newer kinds of sounds, different sounds than what we've heard before. Love Bites as well. I hate when people talk about progressive rock bands going pop just because they they bring in a few kind of sounds that you might hear on mainstream radio. Like, this is not a pop album. Haken is not going pop, but on those songs they do sound a little bit different. They do sound like, well, maybe this is the influence that maybe Pete has brought to the band as the new keyboard player. I know Ross is a very eclectic guy in his music tastes and listens to a lot of sort of contemporary music. So who knows who's bringing that element, but different sound for the band and maybe a direction that they're going to go in the future. And then the album has also this just fantastic mini epic in Elephants Never Forget, a song about John Merrick, the Elephant Man, and it's just a beautiful song. It brings back some of those Cockroach King and crystallized vocals, the harmonies and vocal hocketing that you might hear on a Gentle Giant album. Really fun. That stuff always just brings a smile to my face. That song overall, fantastic. The whole album is great, and I think a really good one to start. If you're not familiar with Haken, if you haven't listened to very much Haken, I would say start with Fauna, because it really does bring sort of everything that the band's about together in one place. Their discography is quite diverse. They've gone to lots of different places across their albums, and this, it has some big riffs, it has some kind of djenty heavy stuff, it has some more sort of traditional progressive rock stuff, it has some shorter, more accessible songs. Really just a great summary of everything the band is about. So 10 out of 10. So yeah, I mean, Haken, they're one of my favorite bands. They are just lovely guys. If you ever get a chance to see them live, I've seen them half a dozen times at this point. And every show has been great. Every show seems to be better than the last one. And if you didn't know Ross, the lead vocalist, he sings one of our songs very generously, sang our song Flew the Coop, does a fantastic job. So if you haven't heard that song, I hope you check that out. Very disappointing to hear that there's been some band turmoil and that Charlie and Connor have left the band. But reassuring to hear that they are going to be continuing. They're going to keep making music together. And we're going to be getting some more music from them soon, so I'm looking forward to hearing that. And yeah, check out Haken if you don't know them. They have one of the most consistent discographies in music. I mean, obviously, I'm being a little bit facetious and ranking them all 10 out of 10. They're not quite all 10 out of 10, but they're all great. Every single album good. I've heard Haken fans name every single one of those albums as their favorite album. And that's, I think, a sign of a good band and a band that has consistently excellent output. So yeah, check them out. So I'm Matt from Versa. This has been a Matt's Chat. If you enjoyed it and you want to hear more, or if you want to check out some of the music on this channel, please subscribe, and I will talk to you again soon. Thank you very much.